My name is Rich Stripling, and I'm a micro-budget filmmaker in Lincoln, Nebraska. A few years ago, I tried to make an adaptation of At the Mountains of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft. My friend, mentor, and financier Dale Bacon helped to make this the biggest project I'd ever done to date. He sank a sizable amount of funds into this movie to make it happen. Unfortunately, before I could complete the film, he died of cancer. For years I've sat on this footage, not sure what to do with it, for it's a lot of footage, but still not enough to finish a project. For years I've sat on this footage, for it's a lot, but it's not enough to make a full project. Finally I've come here now. February 19th was Dale's birthday, and I wanted this video to be completed before then, but nonetheless, this is his birthday present. This is all the footage I did collect, put together into the movie, unedited. There's no special effects. There's errors here and there. This is just footage, but it's footage that I think needs to be seen by people who knew Dale and knew what kind of man he was. So here for your viewing pleasure is At the Mountains of Madness, starring Dale Bacon.
Professor William Dyer, head of the Geology Department at Miskatonic University, heading deep into the frozen land of Antarctica. His purpose, however, is not to break records, but rocks. Professor Dyer seeks to catalog fossils to help paint a picture of what our southern pole was like millions of years ago, so that we may better understand how we arrived to where we are today. To those unfamiliar with the achievements of Miskatonic, Old Blue has been at the forefront of discovery since its inception before the turn of the century. And here we have Professor Dyer in his study at the U, where he granted a rare interview with an anonymous party affiliated with Transatlantic News. Dyer will head the expedition with Professor Frank Peabody of Engineering, Professor George Atwood of Physics, and Professor Dennis Lake of Biology coming along to bring their skills and knowledge to the fossil hunt. They plan to dig in both areas previously discovered by earlier explorers and in new areas yet to be charted. Though finding uncharted places will undoubtedly be thrilling, Dyer plans to focus on areas already well established by earlier pioneers such as Shackleton, Byrd, and many others. When asked by the interviewer what purpose there is to go to the South Pole outside of record setting, the astute professor had this to say in response.
Well, I believe that many fundamental scientific questions will be answered even outside of mere geology by this expedition. There are many lessons that we can learn from the past, lessons that when applied right will assure a solid future.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Transatlantic News. Join us here next week for more news from around the world. I'm Marvin Corbett saying good day.
In September of 1930, Professor William Dyer led a team of 20 into Antarctica. That February, only 10 returned. This is the story of what was found at Earth's southernmost continent, at the fringes of reality, at the Mountains of Madness.
As a geologist, my object in leading the Miskatonic University expedition was wholly that of securing rock and soil from various parts of the Antarctic continent. aided by Professor Frank H. Peabody of our engineering department and his remarkable drill.
Mount Erebus, discovered January 27th, 1841 by Sir John Clark Ross.
Very good, Mr. Danforth. Apparently you did pay attention in my class.
Oh, I've always thought to see Erebus, and now I'm grateful I have. I wager she inspired E. Allan Poe. As the lavas restlessly roll their sulphurous currents down yonder, in the ultimate climes of the pole that groan as they roll down Mount yonder, in the realms of the boreal pole.
Danforth was a brilliant young lad. He was a great reader of bizarre material and had talked a good deal about Poe, too. Among the many of whom I now wished had not made that terrible trip, he was chief among them. I fear he suffered the worst fate.
Aye. There be no frontier man won't cross, at whatever the cost. Prepare yourselves to port, men! Port a call! 15 minutes! Port a call! 15 minutes!
Hello! I trust the curtains didn't jostle you too much since Tasmania, then.
Oh, nothing too terrible. I take it, what about you? Did the voyage do anything to unravel your sanity any more than it already is?
Not at all, good man. In fact, I stocked up on some Tasmanian wine before we left. Not quite as dry as my usual, but it did the trick stupendously.
So, how long have you been ashore?
Got here 3 days ago. Putting the grad students to work, seeing the planes are ready to go for the big trip tomorrow back to the glacier. Students are a marvelous form of slave labor, you know. Do anything you tell them and be happy for the experience.
No, we were grad students once ourselves, don't forget, old codger. Don't run them into the ground. And you know, speaking of the planes, are you sure that 4 giant Dorniers will be enough to establish a base camp? You wreck one and you can kiss your bloated pension goodbye, good sir.
You know, I've been thinking I might just take the Spirit as well. I'm sure there's something I could stuff into it. Perhaps we could transplant some penguins.
Oh, better not. We'll want to keep one around to bail you out. You know how your luck is.
Lake, actually being here, I've been thinking, are 2 camps going to be sufficient being so far apart from each other?
Oh, worry not, old man. We are professors at the greatest university on the eastern coast. Well, perhaps not the biggest, but we shall conquer this icy land in the name of old blue Miskatonic you.
Okay. Okay.
Not just any footprint, but the footprint to a highly evolved and strange life form beyond the fathom of our established scientific minds.
Well, that's amazing, Lake, but why the rush for me to see it?
I need your eye, man. I need you to tell me what time it existed.
Impossible.
What do you see?
Well, these are Cambrian, maybe even pre-Cambrian.
Huzzah! I knew it!
Well, that would mean that these creatures were walking around before life on Earth had evolved even past the hard-shelled creatures of the sea.
Precisely! See? I told you! We'll put those Harvard fellows right on their noses! Man lives to learn, and so we try.
Impossible.
Sometimes we learn too much, and then we die.
impossible.
It was true. I dated them between 500 million to 1 billion years old. That meant these creatures threw everything we thought we knew about evolution into our faces. A breakthrough like that would help make us icons in our respective fields. If only we had the foresight of the terrible truth behind those markings. Lake, Peabody, and the crew of 5 over a span of a week trekked northwestward into regions never trodden by human feet or penetrated by human imagination. Every night they brought back more and more Archean slate, and I admit, even I was interested in the fossils found, although these markings were very primitive and involving no great paradox, except that any life form should occur in rock as definitely Precambrian as these seem to be. Which is why I failed to see the good sense in Lake requiring the use of all 4 planes, many men, and the whole of the expedition's mechanical apparatus. In the end, though, I did not veto the plan.
It's bad enough that this camp is going to be manned by a mere skeleton crew while you're off on this wholly unsanctioned sub-expedition with every piece of equipment we own.
But William, you are a profound geologist. I need your expert eye.
No, Lake. I can't do it. I can't. Please, don't ask me again.
Very well, old friend. But I promise to come back myself and crew unharmed.
Forget you. Those planes cost a fortune.
That night, when Lake came over the speaker of the two-way, his words almost made me reverse my sentiment about not going.
10:05 p.m. After snowstorm, have spied mountain range ahead, higher than any hitherto seen. May equal Himalayas, allowing for height of plateau. Moulton's plane forced down on plateau and foothills, but nobody hurt and perhaps can repair. Shall transfer essentials to other planes for return or further moves if necessary, but no more heavy plane travel needed just now. Mountains surpass anything in imagination. Am going up scouting in Carroll's plane with all weight removed. You can't imagine anything like this. Highest peak must go over 35,000 feet. Everest is out of the running. Atwood to work out height with theodolite, while Carroll and I go up. With this view, it's like a dream. Wish you were here to study, William.
This is Captain Douglas of the Baltic-class brig Arkham, and on behalf of her crew, I say congratulations on your marvelous find, and may good fortune be bestowed upon all who call themselves Miskatonic in this inhospitable place.
Up with Carroll over highest foothills. Don't dare try really tall peaks in present weather, but shall later. Frightful work climbing and hard going at this altitude. Great range fairly solid. Can't see beyond them. Main summits exceed Himalayas and are very queer. Close flying shows many cave mouths, some unusually regular in outline, square or semicircle. Wind whistles and pipes through passes and in and out of caves, but no flying danger so far.
Lake's narration went on, and with each description I wished I were there more. Finally, the point came where I was won over with the idea of the exploration of those terrible mountains being the new priority of the expedition.
So then it's decided. Lake, you send a plane up here to carry everyone and to pick up as much fuel as you can carry. That fuel should suffice in our attempt to establish a direct link between you and McMurdo Sound, Captain Douglas.
That's a great plan, Professor Dyer. We will have any needed supplies ready for your pickup promptly.
Indeed, William. That is a sound plan. where Moulton's plane went down served well as a camp last night. Most ideal place in this terribly wind-swept plateau. That being said, though, the gales of wind are like nothing I've experienced in my existence. I hope us to get this newly discovered place disposed of as soon as possible. The longer I stay here, the more it uneases me. I think it's time for me to retire now, gentlemen. I have spent my entire day working double time and achieving many wondrous things, and my energy is thus spent. Lake out.
Lake had made the decision to make camp where Moulton's plane went down the previous night. During the next day he made several drillings with curious finds. Every evolutionary biologist's dream, but this was only the beginning.
Base Camp 2, are you there?
I'm here.
Excellent. We've made the most astounding finds. We stumbled upon the fossils of vertebrates with our drill, making them the first of them of the whole expedition, as you know. The samples revealing to be from the Comanchean period, however. I was not satisfied, and urged we try getting new samples closer to the base of the mountain range. It is here that we stumbled upon a cave system. Repeat, a cave system.
Astounding!
Yes, and there's more. Beyond there being air moving through it, suggesting a connection to a vast subterranean system. Shells and bones litter the passageway, nearly choking off access entirely in some places. Closer inspection revealed there to be dinosaur bones in and among the piles. A wide variety from various periods of our prehistory, ranging from the Archaeopteryx to the Dinosaurius remains.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Professor, but isn't there 170 million years difference between those species?
Always a quick one, weren't you, old boy? Yes, precisely. I placed the last deposit at no sooner than 30 million years ago.
Action?
Well now, that's some news.
Excellent.
Lake didn't stay long on the radio after that, for he wanted to explore more. He found it easier to send short-form messages via the student Moulton to us with the radio in one of the planes to inform us of progress, so for the rest of the day I saw to it that the camp was being properly set to evacuate as we planned on coming back to it in the spring. The whole time, though, I secretly waited for Lake's next communique in eager anticipation. I didn't have to wait long.
Dyer! Professor Dyer! Are you there, William?
I'm here, man. Was wondering when I might hear from you again.
I planned on staying longer, but the creatures we found indeed trumped all other finds in these caves. Despite being much heavier than anticipated, and the lack of cooperation from the dogs, 9 men were adequate to drag them all to camp. I attempted a small dissection on sight, but the toughness proved to win out over my scalpel. Indeed, I fear nothing this side of gentle is going to aid us in understanding the inner workings of these creatures.
Well, you must keep me informed of your progress. We are on the brink of greatness, good sir.
This is your expedition, old boy. I was just preoccupied with not listening to you. Well, I am going to get started on these. I will give you an update in no later than 2 hours.
2:30 a.m. then.
Indeed.
All right then. I will have a lie down myself.
Rest well then, my friend. You will need your energy. Lake out.
We've already got that.
It's as if the mountains attacked them. Attacked with wrath.
Fan out, everyone. Check to see that they're all accounted for. Maybe someone's still alive.
I knew the truth. There was no one left alive at this camp. Nothing alive. Not even a single dog bred to withstand the harshest of snowstorms lived through this. The real cause of all this, though, would be coming to light far too soon.
The last pass was documented over there.
Look!
Corona Mundi.
The roof of the world.
Take us back around to the base of the pass. We'll hike up from there. We don't want to risk damaging the plane in this wind.
Words fail me.
I don't think there are mortal words meant for this place. We'd best keep moving. What is it?
I heard something.
Like what?
It's something like a piping sound. Not those damn winds, but something more unpleasing.
Well, we best keep moving.
We had to walk 1/2 mile into the city before finally being clear of the ice which had crept in over the chasms of time. Another 1,000 feet before we found an opening into the city. Until at last we found an opening suitable for our passage.
These are conifer, Cretaceous cycads. Simply astonishing.
Professor, come take a look at this.
Astounding.
It's simply staggering. The sheer number and the size of this courtyard makes anything of man seem like a mere trifle.
These walls seem to be a record of its inhabitants. Try to get some photographs, Stephen.
Professor,
Something I noticed. It seems as if things didn't merely stop in this city, but that they...
Abandoned. Yes. I had that same observation.
I'm 100% certain that those creatures Professor Lake found were none other than the Elder Things from the Necronomicon from the library at school. I think this is their city.
The plateaus of Ling. Stephen Danforth, I fear that we have stumbled upon the most astounding and terrible thing that man has yet to lay his eyes upon. One that takes that infernal book out of the realm of mythology and into the realm of historical document, and that these petroglyphs tell more than we ever wished to know. Here's the story, and here's how I'm interpreting it.
I read out the story as I saw it, as if I were Abdul al-Hazred himself, jumping from panel to panel, pointing to the symbols like a maniac. The great old ones came to this planet when it was nothing but rock and water, the planet stripped to the base elements. The first place they chose to live in was the ocean. Apparently their bodies made the cold nothing of space equally as bearable as dry land or the deepest depths of the world's seas. It was in the depths that they created through their mere will the life on earth, created for the sake of sustenance, as we would use cattle. It was also there that they created a race designed solely for servitude, what the Necronomicon would come to call the Shoggoths. These beasts in their amorphous frames could shape themselves for any task and harnessed immense strength. For aeons they lived in the waters and on land, every living thing on this earth an evolutionary hiccup left unchecked by its masters. Though tectonic shifts may destroy their cities, it was a mere trifle for them to rebuild somewhere else. But all didn't stay to their liking forever. New races filtered down from the stars, land creatures with octopoid faces, not unlike the star spawn of Cthulhu from the book. After a war that raged on for millennia, the elder race were victorious and forged a truce with them. Peace for the elder things was in these terms, short-lived, for the Shoggoths, who were upon creation mindless, shapeless servants, had become aware of themselves and revolted against their masters. A war was begun to resubjugate the Shoggoths. The pictograph's account of the Shoggoths beheading their slain victims, a gesture whose message was in both Danforth and I's view painfully clear from any creature. The old ones did eventually bring the Shoggoths under their yoke again, and kept them there until yet another invader from the stars came down. Creatures seemingly part fungus and part crustacean, the Migo. The old ones attempted to combat them in space, only to find that the ability of flight had been lost in the folds of time. So it was in the end that the old ones began a slow retreat back to what is now Antarctica, the place to where they had started, and was considered the last bastion of their culture. Though the Migo were unable to disturb the elder things living in the sea, it is not said as to what happened to them. Into the dark we went, emphatically following the eyeless birds from prehistoric times, the blind leading the blind. Our torches, though quite bright, seemed so insignificant as we tread deeper into the mountains through that megalithic masonry we grew accustomed to. As we descended, the temperature ascended, so that we had to unbutton our coats to keep from overheating. That noise struck a chord with both Danforth and I, for we had both heard it before, hidden within the howl of the mountain. I couldn't help but pity it now, for though it once filled me with dread, it was now the death cry of an elder thing, a race of interstellar scientists and scholars, cut down by their own creation. The poor fellow was chanting the familiar stations of the Boston-Cambridge Tunnel that burrowed through our peaceful native soil thousands of miles away in New England. The ritual to me, however, had neither relevance nor home feeling, only horror. When flying through the range back to camp, the moans of those haunting winds went especially deep with poor Danforth, for upon hearing them, he muttered and sobbed and shrieked but one word.
Tickle-lily. Tickle-lily. Tickle-lily.